Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. Do you want to tell us how much you know about Star Trek in general?
Well, I watched all of Next Gen, all of Enterprise, all of Voyager, most of Deep Space Nine. Got kind of annoyed at the letterboxing, didn't like the formatting. It annoys me.
Can watch Voyager though.
Yeah, Voyager's great. I had it on DVD as a kid.
So, going into this review, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're obviously talking about Star Trek 6, which is a TOS film, because I'm going backwards. We don't know why. I presume it's because I'm a slightly special in the head. So, this is my favourite Star Trek film. I like it. It's taken years, but I like this one. Out of all of them, I think really grabs. Like the music's good, the actual plot is good. There's a lot of weird book quotes for no reason. I like the opening, like as much as like I loved the titles going on for 5 minutes with just the music because I love the music in this film. What did you think of the titles going on forever? Remember, it was the early 90s.
Yeah, it was the early 90s, but I'm also extremely ADD, so...
Hence the jiggling.
Yeah, I can't stop. It was sort of too long. It was just too long. It was like...
The music was brilliant.
It's longer than Star Wars.
The music was
Star
brilliant.
Wars is, like, I know. I shouldn't do that, no.
So, the movie is basically a political thriller based around Leonard Nimoy and Nicholas Meyers. They base it on the end of the Cold War and the Soviet Union, the fall of the Soviet Union, and you can see that throughout the film. The beginning of the film begins with the Excelsior and the moon of Praxis exploding, which apparently damaged Kronos' atmosphere. And we get our first look at Sulu as captain of the Excelsior. And I remember seeing this because I didn't know this movie existed before I went, my Red Bull's probably in the way. Before I went to see Generations, I didn't actually know this film existed. And then I saw it in a video shop and I was like, oh, more Star Trek. Because that's what I needed at 8 years old. What did you think of the Excelsior and Sulu?
Excelsior? Really cool ship. Like, ultimately, it's just super sleek. It looks really good. It fits Sulu's sort of character in general.
Better than the Enterprise A?
Yeah. Easy.
Actually, do you know what? I kind of think that they're about level. I like the Enterprise. I like the model. I think the model looks great. Like in all the films, but particularly this one.
Yeah.
And I think the Excelsior looks like the big chunky older brother.
You reckon?
It's a bit chunky. Got a big badonkadonk. It's the me of Star Trek.
Some of us just like him more.
So I really enjoyed seeing Sulu in this. I enjoyed him seeing him in Voyager as well when he reprised this. In that beginning bit, we also get to see Janice Rand, who's weirdly written on the end of the show as Excelsior Communications Officer. And if you don't know, Janice Rand was from the original series. She was in there. She was in the episodes Charlie X and a few others. Did you even recognize that person?
Original series I'm pretty well limited on, so...
As most people are.
Yeah.
I enjoyed seeing Kirk and the crew on the Enterprise. There's very much a sense of finality I found to this film.
Yeah, that is a big theme. Like Spock's real first, like one-on-one scene was just all about it ending. Everything ends, and it's
all about time and all about everything ends. Everything has its time, and it is pretty obvious the twist at the end when you've watched it a few times. You actually know it's kind of the only person it could be.
Yeah.
What else did you think about in the beginning? He's got notes.
I do have notes. I have lots of notes. There was a lot of racism. Like just general, like...
That was deliberate. Because I've watched the commentary, because I'm that sad. But, Brock Peters, who plays Admiral Cartwright, who also played Ben Sisko,
yes.
He didn't want to do those scenes. He outright, flat out hated those scenes because he's, as a black man, has gone through racism and didn't want to say that stuff. And that's what they're dealing with in this film, one of the main themes is prejudice and hatred through bias and stuff like that. So Brock Peters, if you watch it, it cuts away from him a lot because he couldn't perform the entire line in one go. And also, I'm just lecturing him on the movie now. I usually do this during the movie.
Yeah, he held his tongue this time.
Oh yeah.
I want to watch the movie.
Also, William Shatner had with his line where he says, "Let them die." Originally, they weren't meant to cut away. And Nicholas Meyers promised him that he would sort of show a regret in saying it, but when it came down to the end, Nicholas Meyers actually just cut him looking away and feeling guilty, just to emphasize that Picard had prejudice because the Klingons had killed his son. Did you get the links to Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3?
Yeah.
Have you seen Star Trek 3?
Yeah. Did you just say Picard?
Probably.
Yeah.
I talk about Star Trek all the time.
Yeah. No, cool. It's how sharp that cut is as well. It's sort of, I don't know, it's a bit jarring. It's a bit like, oh, I'm not used to seeing Star Trek be so, like, particularly Starfleet in general, being so prejudiced.
You haven't watched much of the original series, have you?
No, I haven't. But it's quite jarring.
The Klingons were white dudes with pretty dark brown paint on their
No. That's the sort of thing that I kind of like. I don't like, but I get the time.
It's of a time.
Different. But
And it's also, it's not. It was just a way to express like the Klingons stood in for the Russians back in the day. Apparently, they all stood in for the Russians, to be honest. But yeah, so we got on the Enterprise, all of our crew are looking seasoned. I don't know whether they just looked more grey. It was just me. They just looked sort of a little bit like retirement ready. And we get a Kirk who is forced into having a meet-up with Chancellor Gorkon, who is played by, and I can't remember his name at this very moment.
Oh no!
I remembered it during the movie.
You did?
Oh, David Warner. Gorkon's played by David Warner, who was also in Star Trek 5. He played the human ambassador. He was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. He was in Doctor Who. These are all things that I just wanted to tell him during the movie. He was in Doctor Who, and he's a really good actor. Like, he was in Titanic as well. He played the bodyguard. He plays a lot of, like, not the prime character, but like the really important characters. And Abraham Lincoln Klingon looked really good too.
Yeah.
Did you have any issues with Abraham Lincoln / Gorbachev? Did you not get that? Gorkon, Gorbachev?
No.
Didn't know much about Cold War. No, we'll go to that. This is my nerd channel. So did you have any thoughts about the Klingons at the dinner?
Yeah, so it's very interesting because, like, you kind of get the vibe immediately when from the moment that you said Klingons, that something is afoot, that they're up to something, or some people there are up to something, others aren't, and they're not aware.
It could very well be the Shakespeare spouting General Chang.
Yeah.
Played by Christopher Plummer. Do you know who Christopher Plummer is?
I don't know any actors.
Have you seen The Sound of Music?
Yes.
He is the father from The Sound of Music.
Really?
Yes. Oh. That's what made him famous. He also died, I believe, last year. The same with David Warner. But I thought they were dead now. Yeah, I liked the dinner. The funny thing is, you pay attention, like Chekhov goes, "Guess who's coming to dinner?" which is a film from, I think, the 50s and 60s, starring Sidney Poitier, which is about a girl who's dating a black man coming to dinner and the racial tensions between the family and them. There's a lot of, like, threads of that racism being sort of thrown up.
Yeah.
I think that's intentionally to make you think.
Yeah.
I think it's intentionally to go, you shouldn't hate the Russians, times change, things move on, things.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing for Star Trek.
Yeah, it's definitely good themes because that's generally how Star Trek.
Yeah.
For my experience with Star Trek has been pretty well.
And guess what?
Your
Gorkon gets murdered.
Yes.
We have a mystery on our hands. We don't know what happened. The Enterprise apparently fires on the IKS-1. I don't know. like Air Force One, but for Klingons. And gets fired upon. They think it's them. They do some inventory checks. They do some stop checks. They physically inspect. And they didn't fire the torpedoes, but two men beam aboard in Starfleet gravity suits, and go aboard and kill everyone, include everyone but one guy without an arm, and kill Chancellor Gorkon. I keep going Gowron because he's in Star Trek. And they kill him, and we get it's a really, I liked, although it's like, was it 91 this film came out, the blood floating was actually really cool. The way they did the weightlessness, I quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
Did you find the blood convincing?
No, it was like, again, when I watch movies, sometimes I forget when they come out, and the CGI has gotten so much better these days, and it's just, I am spoiled.
I have 2 bits of trivia on this. So the blood was made pink because they didn't want it to get an M or an MA rating. That's why it's made pink, so it's not actual blood. And the second thing is the effect they use for the blood is the same effect they used in Terminator 2 to make shiny robot melting.
Yeah, which is weird because it works really well for the shiny robot.
It looks actually the same. It's just you're more forgiving in Terminator because it's fast paced, whereas in this they're slowly brawling in front of the camera. Yeah. Then Kirk and Bones go to the ship and they try to rescue Chancellor Gorkon, and he sadly dies. Don't let it end this way, Captain. And then Kirk and Bones get arrested, and General Chang's standing there looking very sad. His daughter's looking a bit sad. And then we pretty much go straight to the trial, I think, in between the two.
Yeah, I think there's like a quick scene with the President of the Federation.
Oh yeah, President of the Federation talking about how he's going to stand trial. Once again, useless fact knowledge, that is the father from the 70s show, Kurt something.
Yeah.
There was a scene with Renee Auberjonois, which is in the special edition, but it wasn't in this. It was at the very end where he popped up. But did you like seeing, the first thing he asked when he saw the President of the Federation was he Klingon? And I thought that exact same thing when I first saw this film.
Yeah.
Like it was my first thought.
Yeah, he pretty much looked exactly like a Klingon.
A white-haired Klingon, that was it.
Yeah, it was like, old Klingon, what's going on here? What?
To be fair, the Klingons in this film don't actually look terribly Klingon.
No, they're sort of like a real mix of, because I've seen original series Klingons, which basically just guys with painted faces.
Well,
and then like next gen Klingons, it's sort of like a.
Well, we got 2 bald Klingons, which we didn't see again until I'm pretty sure Discovery, and people didn't like that. But the wrinkles on their foreheads, like one of them was clearly like the backbone of something, like the imprint, and the others were just like little bumps in weird. They were very toned down. I don't know why that was. I know Christopher Plummer didn't want to be covered in prosthetics, so they gave him like the easiest one. But I think they toned down on everyone's just to make it look a little bit easier. At the trial, were you excited to watch the trial?
Well, I was surprised to see Worf there.
Yes, Worf's grandfather pops up. I also quite enjoyed seeing the judge's face.
Yeah, it's normally just like a black void, isn't it?
No, when I first saw it, I remember you wouldn't really think so. You saw like the bottom of his beard, but that was it. This time I'm like going, oh, I see his face, and bad ADR work because the mouth didn't sync up very well. I was like, oh, okay. But what did you think of Rura Penthe, where they're sent to die?
Yeah. It's the roughest part of the movie, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't mind Kirk kicking an alien in the balls, which happens to be on the alien's knee.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Like, this is the part where the movie started to lose me, and I'll be honest about that. And it's sort of kind of just turned into sort of this thing where it's like, we're now on this planet, it's dark, it's dingy, we're watching it at night.
It actually came across very like TNG TV episode where they're down in caves, which are mostly sets.
Hell planet.
Do you know they were actually they used actual caves for a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
But I think they sprayed it with like snow and ice, so it looks like you couldn't really tell the difference anyway. So it was really interesting, isn't it? But we get introduced to Martia, which is played by Iman, who was the wife of David Bowie at the time. She was also a supermodel. She was really big.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you like Changeling?
Yeah. Interesting how that changeling works. I think, at least this is my theory. This is a raw theory. I think that changeling works by whenever it has sex with something, it becomes that thing.
Kirk wasn't a giant, hairy, woolly mammoth monster.
Yeah, but I'm assuming that she had.
You're
sex
assuming she had sex with a big, hairy monster, and that way she could turn into that.
Yeah.
And then when she became Kirk, when she fucked Kirk,
she was able to
become Kirk.
Yeah, that's what I think.
This theory falls down when you take into account she turned into a 9-year-old girl.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut.
So they escape. We get some lovely stock images of the Northern Arctic Circle, which wasn't actually William Shatner and DeForest Kelley, but they were really good shots. I actually really liked them. I remember seeing the movie and going, oh, they actually went there. Turns out, no, they sent a third unit to go and film some people walking across it. So that's a bit sad. Did you like the Sherlock Holmes hunt for the assassinations people?
I find it interesting that Sherlock Holmes is basically like a part of the entire Star Trek universe.
Well,
he's a real person.
Apparently, he's an ancestor of Spock.
Yeah.
One of my ancestors said, and I remember I kind of, as a kid, did not look at it that way at all, and now as an adult, I'm going, I know exactly where that's from, and it's a bit like it's odd. It's a really odd thing to put in a movie.
Yeah.
But this movie very much seems like Nicholas Meyers, the director, had read too many books before it, and thought, I'm just going to insert dialogue.
Yeah, it was like there was a lot of jammed in.
Which I like campy shit, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed the end battle was really good. I really liked the Shakespeare being thrown around everywhere. Did you have something to say about other stuff?
Oh no, that's all good. Before the ending, like to figure out who the bad guys are, Spock basically mind melded without consent.
Oh yes. So we'll go. So in terms of them investigating, I liked them going through everything and like pulling wall panels off and stuff. I thought that gave the ship an added reality that we hadn't seen in other films. Like it felt like a working ship. Like even in the galley, when you're looking around at the metal and the walls and stuff, it's all scuffed and marked, like it's aged and it's old.
Very original.
I liked when they find the boot and then they go to blame Ensign Dax. It's not the same Dax. And then his feet are weird. I remember as a kid finding that really funny.
Yeah.
He wiggling all the stuff. HD foot wiggling.
HD foot wiggling. So
it's pretty obvious that it is Kim Cattrall's character, not mentioning vagina, of course, which is good about Kim Cattrall. I hate it when she does that.
Yeah.
But it was pretty obvious that she was the bad guy once you heard the recording in the trial. Like he was like, okay, she's bad.
Yeah.
Did you know that it was originally meant to be Savick from Star Trek 2?
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And Gene Roddenberry said no because he liked that character.
Oh.
So Nicholas Meyers changed it because I think Gene Roddenberry died pretty soon after this film was filmed. So he was sort of on his last legs, sort of thing. Did you know who any of the other people were?
What do you mean?
Like when she was listing off the names, did you go, I remember that person?
No.
Yeah, no. That was my problem. And if you get the Star Trek Undiscovered Country Special Edition DVD, it's actually slightly edited. And when she says the names, it flashes up their faces like a picture, which makes sense because I don't know who the fuck these 2-second characters are. But you get them introduced. Even the gunman in the back window who they push out. Do you know who that was?
No clue.
No one knows who that was because it was a deleted scene played by Rene Auberjonois. And he had a whole scene where he was talking about rescuing Kirk. He was like a security officer. And then they cut that scene and then he's just some human. So when she says the names of these people, you don't know who these are because they've been in like one scene. In his case, one deleted scene.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the finale? Did you enjoy the way it ended?
It felt a bit rushed. Like they were running out of time and they needed to get this done.
In what way?
So it's like, yeah, they have all these shots where they're like shooting at each other, but it's like, what actual dialogue? What's actually happening? Like, there's no real explanation, and like, it's one of the biggest issues with most of the movie.
They're trying to find. Yeah, no, but they're trying to find the cloaked ship. Is the whole point.
Yeah, no, I get the whole point, but like, even once they do get the cloak ship and they get rid of the cloak ship, what was the point of the cloak ship being there if they were just gonna have a sniper on the balcony to do it all anyway?
Because they were trying to protect them, I think, was the idea. They were trying to protect them to get them to complete their mission.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was. That's kind of what it was. You were. There was a point where he lost interest and decided to have a nap. Of which I was like, then why the fuck would you volunteer to help me with this video? And apparently, no, he was enthused. He's very enthused, apparently. That final battle to me, and I think it's the difference between models and CGI, is I love watching model beauty shots.
Yeah.
Like the camera flying around the Enterprise, the camera flying around the Excelsior. Those ships look fantastic.
Yeah, but I don't know, maybe it's because I come from a different idea of, like, get to the point. Like, come on.
ADHD and younger than me.
Yeah. Get to the point. Like, we don't need to go around eight times to see the same thing.
I'm going to bring you back for the motion picture. We're going to watch the motion picture the whole way through. 2 hours of Enterprise beauty shots. I liked the way it ended. I didn't mind I liked the conspiracy nature of it. I liked what it was trying to say, the message of the future changes, and sometimes you have to let things go and move forward. I felt that it was actually a very, very Star Trek message-filled movie.
Yeah.
I know that Gene Roddenberry didn't like it because it depicted Kirk kind of racistly. But because his Starfleet perfection is pretty much TNG Season 1, which is dull.
My thoughts are a bit different. I think that the movie's premise and its plot and like the core elements to it are really, really good. They're good elements. But I think the execution was terrible. Overall. I think it was just bad.
It makes me angry now.
Yeah,
We might have a fight after this.
It was a badly executed movie. Like, there's no way of putting it. Like, it had all the elements of a great movie.
I genuinely love this movie, you know.
Yeah.
The music is amazing. I think all of the actors are brilliant. I think maybe General Chang is a bit hammy with his Shakespeare, but other than that, I think William Shatner, DeForest Kelley, they all give good moments.
It's not an issue with the dialogue.
It's the story.
No, it's not the issue with. It's not an issue with dialogue. It's not an issue with story. It's an issue with the way that things sort of play out. Because you got like this. The beginning of the movie is like, here's this thing. It's really exciting. It's really good. It's like it's developing into this really decent like movie where you got like there's a thing where there's like they're all dying and like. You know what I mean?
Do you
like
think...
there's a lot of tension built up at the beginning,
Yeah.
And then in the middle, it's just a whole lot of fluff.
So I need to ask you a question. Were you dozing off by the middle?
The middle got me.
May you have not noticed things because you were mostly asleep.
I woke up fairly quickly.
This is what I have to deal with. This is why I don't watch long things.
But no, it should be in itself a point.
No, I agree that
that
a movie should keep you awake.
Yeah.
I enjoy it because I love Star Trek. That's just the way it is. I know that, and I know that with a lot of people. But I asked you to help me with this review, and you wanted a nap.
Well, I had no choice but nap because the movie was just not. You stole my trick. You stole my trick.
That's what you get for insulting this movie. I think for their final film, I actually think this is really good. I like all of the movies. I have no issue with all of the movies, but I think as a sign-off, like I do like the line from Peter Pan at the end, which is second star of the right straight on to morning, because it's a hopeful we're going on. What I do find interesting about this is they imply that the Enterprise A goes on without that crew.
Yeah.
He goes, this ship will become the property of another crew. And according to everything after that, no, it didn't. It got shut down and they moved on to the Enterprise B. But the Enterprise A was actually only about 10 years old at the time. Because it was a new ship, essentially. Which, yeah, I liked. I liked seeing, I think, Sulu going off by himself, and then the signatures was definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was very, we're done now.
Yeah, let's get this over done with.
But overall, I liked this one. Was there anything else you didn't like? Oh, we wanted to talk about the Spock and Valaris, I remembered her name, mind-meld scene.
Yeah.
It is very rapey. And that's been brought up by a lot of people before, that it is essentially him forcing her. So you've got to sort of weigh up they've got to stop the galaxy from going to war over invading her mind and getting this information.
Yeah. Like, it's like, I don't know how it was presented before this movie, but I think every other point that I've seen the mind meld come up, it's always been, I need consent.
Generally, it's consensual. I think with this one, they do very much because they pan around to the actors' faces, and there is a level of like shock and sort of disgust on a lot of the characters' faces.
Yeah.
Like Uhura's like this, and so I think they knew that it was a bad thing. It was something that he was doing to cross the line to get this information. So yes, we're not used to our heroes doing those kind of things to get their information, and it is a mind meld. It's not it's not a sexual thing, but it is an intimate thing. So it's different in a way that you either have a choice of mind melding or letting the universe go to war. I do think it's played as a traumatic moment.
Yeah, I can see how that is.
Like they pan around.
Yeah, they definitely pan around, but
Yeah.
I don't know, the impact of it is, I don't know, again, it was a bit shocking for me.
It's not because they move on and then all of a sudden she's giving a confession at the end. Like,
Yeah.
we've got a confession. I'm going, did they record it, or is she actually going to tell them? And it just seems a bit.
Or did Spock just say it and that's the confession?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I don't think today it would be done in the same way. I think back then it was a how do we get this information without torture, which it kind of is torture, but it's not torture.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like at the end when she's screaming,
it's terrible.
I think it's definitely torture.
And I'll give it to Kim Cattrall. It's the only film I've seen her in. To be fair, I've only ever seen her in Sex and the City other than this, where she's not talking about vagina, and I generally love her character. Like I like Valaris. I think Savick would have been better because they'd known Savick in Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3. Having her come back, it's very much like, oh my god, Savick's betrayed them. But Valaris was okay. I think Kim Cattrall was okay. I think that moment, I think that moment was probably something they tiptoe or make more reactive now. I think back then it was like, well, it's just the mind meld.
Yeah.
But it's still an invasive moment. So my overall score for this film isn't 10 out of 10, because I don't think any Star Trek film is 10 out of 10, but it's like 9 out of 10.
Oh, now I'm guessing you want my number.
No, you don't have to give your number. So special effects wise, I think the models look great. I think this is when models were at their peak, between here and episode 1 of Star Wars. I think the models all look good.
No, the models are far better than Star Wars. I'm not even going to deny that.
I think the models CGI, I think when models and CGI come up, I think models always end up looking better. They always look physically there.
Yeah, the models are just better.
What did you think of the music?
Music is okay.
Do you prefer Cliff Idleman to Jerry Goldsmith or James Horner?
I don't know who any of
James Horner did Star Trek 2, Jerry Goldsmith did pretty much all the TNG films past generation. Jerry Goldsmith wrote the Star Trek theme song for the movies. He wrote that.
Oh.
He's the guy. And then James Horner did number 2, and he did Aliens, and he did, I think he's doing Avatar as well. He's worked with James Cameron a lot. Anyways, he didn't like the music, which is
No,
my
I
favorite
didn't say
thing.
that. I said it was
think-
okay.
I think the music builds up a great tension and a great pace. It's very different from the other scores. I think it's very different in the way that the Generations music's very different.
Yeah. No, I like the music. Like, I didn't not like the music. It was there.
Was there anything that looked a bit naff, like a bit shit to you?
The blood. The blood. The
I
blood.
have no issue with pit blood. Why are you
I have no issue with the big
Why are
blood. I
you
just
so
think that
homophobic? Yeah,
how could I?
homophobic.
How could
Everyone.
I ever be homophobic?
Everyone.
I am not one of those gays.
But yeah, I can't say anything bad. I do think them spouting Shakespeare is the silliest part of this film, but at the same time, it's a science fiction film.
I think if you want to talk about dialogue, the worst part is the moment that Kirk turns around and says to I forgot his name, the chief, the chief of the military or whatever his name.
The
is.
changeling?
No, the main.
Oh,
at
it's
the
not
dinner.
me, him.
At the dinner.
Hitler 1938.
Yes, that is
I thought that
the
was
thing.
I thought that was dumb, but also kind of cool.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it's. I think it's dumb.
What I find funny is because William Shatner is Jewish and so is Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
So only they could say that.
Well, they only say that.
I feel like if anyone else had said it, I'd have been.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's avoid risky topics.
It's risky.
But yeah, though there was dialogue in there that I felt was just really out of place. But I think this was a much more fun movie in terms of its plot, and there were some good lines in it.
For original series movies, it was okay.
He's a TOS hater. All of you people who love TOS, blame him.
It is my fault.
You can just call him Ribbit or the other nerd guy. Anyways, I think we're done. Is there anything you want to add?
I think we're good.
If this video does well, I'll invite him back. Otherwise, I'm just going to throw him in the trash.
Oh no, not again.
This is where he lives now because you keep saying stupid shit. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and come back next time for Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. William Shatner's one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I actually like it. Like, to be fair, if you came here for a negative opinion of a Star Trek film, you're in the wrong place. Anyways, thank you. I've been Trek.Trav. This is the other nerd guy, and see you next time.